Okay, another piece of new gear is this generator here. It's a 60 kilowatt diesel made in Italy. It's the kind of thing that you need if you're running like 18 kilowatt lights and stuff like that. So anyway, common for film production and event power. Okay, so it has a main circuit breaker which energizes all the cam lock outputs here. You can see it has two full sets of cam lock outputs. And then over here on the other side, we've got a couple of 20 amp courtesy outlets, and then also these larger 240 volt 50 amp. It's got three of those, and the breakers are all up here. And then this is kind of cool. It's got you run an extension cord from the building you're parked next to if you wanted to run the block heater to allow it to start more easily in cold weather conditions. And its internal battery, it has an onboard charger. You can run an extension cord to that from shore power to make sure its battery stays topped off. Not too much more really to show you about this at the moment. This might not be the most exciting piece of technology, but definitely it's kind of the heart of a field production that requires significant power. So important piece of gear. Hopefully I'll get to show you a little bit more of this on set next week. Fun fact, fully bunded. A fuel tank that is fully bunded apparently is a tank within a tank. So if the inside tank leaks, it leaks out into another tank rather than contaminating the environment. So that's kind of interesting. So here's that new generator that I told you about, and it has been working all day long. You can see it's three-phase cam locks here on this side, and that is running over to the main set, which is over there. You can sort of, if you look real carefully, you can see the 18K light that's in there. It's not running right now, but it did play for most of the morning. And then we're also using the courtesy outlets. So we've got Video Village, the Honey Wagon, and the camera van all coming off here. That's all playing off over in that world. But we didn't need to do a big power drop to those, but we did need some going over there, and the courtesy outlets have been working really well. Interestingly, these breakers up here, they are for these outlets, but unlike older generation generators of this style, you do have to have the main breaker, which is under here. If that's not on, the courtesies are not on the other side. So that is different than others that I've used. But the thing's real quiet and just seems to be doing its job, no complaints. Okay, so quick review of the generator that I showed you working some on the set I was on. So I think probably one of the most notable things about it is that it's fully electronically controlled. Now, diesel engines have been electronically controlled for a couple of decades now, but it's finally making its way into the world of generators and so on. And one quirk, if you're looking for a quirk, is that for whatever reason, this unit, it gives an ECU temperature malfunction that we haven't been able to figure out yet. You can manually override it. The unit works fine, but it's sort of like a check engine light. You know, like your car usually will run fine with most of the codes that cause a check engine light, but it's sort of annoying to look down there at your dash and see that check engine light. It's kind of like that. The unit's working great, but you get that warning. Another interesting little tidbit on it, it's got a fully bunded fuel tank to prevent an environmental contamination. So that's kind of an interesting thing. And of course, that's a lot of the ways that newer units like this differ from the older ones. They're cleaner, they have more emissions controls. Obviously, emissions controls sometimes cause complexity that causes reliability issues, but you know, we're pretty well on past beyond the, you know, the early teens of the 2000s. You know, those were pretty bad times for reliability in diesel motors because of emissions control. I think most of the manufacturers have figured all that stuff out pretty well at this point, and the reliability has gone back up. But anyway, unit seems to have worked fine.